Welcome to today's episode of Zenroku Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Rashad Yerby. I have an incredible honor of speaking with someone who has truly mastered the intersection of art, education, and culture. Our guest today is none other than Miguel. Miguel is a jazz pianist, educator, and podcast host with over 15 years of professional experience in the music industry. His work spans multiple platforms, including his shows Playback, which explores the intersection between nerdom, culture, and Blackness, and a grant-funded series that highlights the joy and uniqueness of art and culture. He's a graduate of New England Contemporary with a master's degree in contemporary improvisation, and he also performs on several acclaimed projects. Today, we're going to dive into the heart of what drives him, not just as a musician and educator, but as a person. Miguel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, man. This is dope. Really excited to just get into it because, you know, it's always dope to see another brother who loves anime. Honestly.
Yes, for sure. For sure. I'm on anime. I had the experience of being in Japan for 7 years. Man, it was pretty awesome. Living in Japan, just being immersed by that culture is pretty amazing. But yeah, man, thank you. But I want to talk about your journey. You've been playing the piano professionally for 15 years. What has that journey taught you about yourself, both as an artist and a human being?
I mean, it's been, it has its ups and downs. And I think being a musician professionally, when you make your art or your hobby your job, it comes with a lot of wonderful things. Like, part of how I make a living is something that I love to do. But sometimes I don't want to do that thing anymore. You dig? I want to chill and not do the thing, but that's not an option when you're a professional musician. You got to have that upkeep. So like you mentioned, I've been playing professionally for a very long time, and there's some success, and there are droughts in there. There were times where I was injured, like I hurt my hands and couldn't do music the same exact way. I'm actually still coming back from an injury right now where my right hand just kind of stopped working about 2 years ago for a sec. And then I've been rehabbing and trying to get back. But, on the other side, a lot of wonderful things come from that. I kind of got into podcasting because I really love having conversations about art from the perspective of as an artist, right? And it's taught me a lot of resilience. It's taught me a lot of discipline and humility because there's always someone out there that's better, but that doesn't mean what you have to say isn't something that's valuable to other people. So no, it's been a really fun time, and it's an ongoing journey. Like I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm planning on some stuff, but we'll see.
It sounds like you've been, experiencing both highs and lows during your journey. Can you share specific moments where you faced a challenge, and how did you overcome? Like you was talking about with your hand and you in rehab. What was that like? And give us room to, explore that with your growth.
I mean, it was definitely a difficult period. I had literally just actually finished my master's at NEC. So I just put I don't know, too much money into my hands, and then my hands didn't work. So it was very frustrating. There was definitely episodes of, depression and just being down on myself, didn't make the right decision, all those kinds of things. But there was nothing to do but try to get better. It was that or not. And I chose to get after it. I chose to do it. That took some time. I played a lot of The Legend of Zelda. I caught up on a lot of shows that I, had kind of put on the backlog. I'm like, I can't play right now. I can't really do much. So I guess I'm just gonna chill hard and try to recuperate, But on the other end of that, once you do start to see some results and some milestones, it's extremely gratifying. I took a lot of time to work on my mental health because I saw that I was in a really dark place because I just wasn't happy with where I was. And I didn't see exactly a path forward. So I started on my mental health. I was really trying to dig into what was going on. Why was I feeling, not great outside of, my hand not working. And it turns out I actually have ADHD. And I didn't know that until literally 6 months ago. I've always been a very high achieving student. Well, not always. I was a high achieving student in college. The ADHD was probably keeping me back in high school for sure.
Yeah.
But I was a high achieving student. I was worked really well, excelled at every job I've been in, et cetera, et cetera. But something was constantly kind of just making things harder. And I didn't understand why things were just a little bit more difficult for me than my peers. But turns out ADHD. So I'm working with a psychiatrist, a therapist, and like trying to figure out the way to get around it. Even just knowing that there was something that I didn't have a handle on helped me kind of focus and figure some stuff out. So it's a journey, and I'm on it right now, but we're here. We're trying.
Yeah, man. And it seems like, man, like on this journey, you have like experienced so much, especially when it comes to mental health and how you're so free to talk about that. And one, I just want to give you flowers right now. I salute you for speaking about that, because a lot of times, especially in my profession, I see a lot of young men and young ladies, especially in the military kind of maintenance world, where we're always gung-ho about getting the mission done, fixing aircraft, got to get it in the air, and you really don't take that time for yourself. So, man, I commend you for taking that time for yourself. One, recognizing it. Two, and actually doing something about it. That takes so much courage, and I commend you for it, man. For real.
Appreciate you, bro. Like, because it's tough. It's not easy, but once you start getting those flowers, those salutes from people around you, and you start to recognize what's going on, it's so much better. Things are brighter. You're like, oh, I see what's going on, and you can make moves.
Yeah, for sure. But hey, I want to ask you. You said you mentioned you like Yu Yu Hakusho, right? And you said that has been a big influence on your life. Particularly, you quoted Giraki, and you commented like the whole heart. How does anime or art in general inspire your personal and professional growth?
I mean, I love anime. I've loved anime since I was a 5-year-old kid, just checking out Toonami and everything on Cartoon Network, as most of us did, right?
Yeah, shout out to Toonami.
On the other end of that, bro, I used to spend summers in Dominican Republic, where my family's from, right? And they actually had like Dragon Ball, but in Spanish, going on the entire summer, like every Monday through Friday at like 2:30 or something like that. Dragon Ball Z, like really just like making it work. I think the beautiful thing about anime is it has a lot of characters that show perseverance. They get knocked down, they get back up. And I think the biggest thing is they say the quiet part out loud. That quote I sent you about from Genkai, she's talking to the main character, Yusuke, and basically saying, like, if you're going to succeed, you have to look beyond yourself. You have to jump over this fear. You have to not limit yourself. And I legit think about that quote like, I don't know, like twice a week. You know what I mean? And that's a show I watched religiously when I was a kid. I just did a rewatch, but I'm a grown ass man. Like, why am I thinking about this anime quote twice a week? But it's because it stirred something. I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do something, anything, in my case, it's music or podcasting or whatever, I have to be unafraid to fail, to succeed, right? And that's most anime protagonists, most shonen protagonists. That they're constantly showing that thing. They have to jump over that hill. And I'm not gonna go like Super Saiyan or nothing, but it's still something you got to work through.
For sure. You often work to bring together, like you said, your art, Afro Latino, everything that you're doing, your experiences with art. In your opinion, how do you think anime, jazz, and other forms of art help to tell a story to those who are underappreciated?
I think self-expression is really important. I mean, I'm enjoying a lot of the manga and anime that's coming out from authors who are millennials, who have our experience. I think a good example is like Jujutsu Kaisen, which is a very popular anime right now, right? And specifically, I'm thinking of a character. He had a whole episode where he was just like, man, you really don't know what it's like to just like not the sandwich shop that you really was into closes. And you don't know how that's going to impact your life because you don't know what that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think for me, the fantasy elements of anime, the self-expressiveness in jazz, and the voice that podcasting gives you, those are all things that marginalized people struggle with, right? You were just saying, men Black men, Afro-Latino men, any man who grew up in America or whatever, struggles with just being able to say their emotions, which is like a very basic thing that you need to be able to do.
Yeah.
And he's got that. Yeah. Jazz, if you have something to say that's a bit esoteric, not something that's very clear, but you have a vehicle for expression, that's me all day. I used to play classical music, and it's beautiful, it's gorgeous.
It is,
but like it's not. I'm the only way I have creativity is as in my interpretation of someone else's music.
Yeah.
Jazz isn't that. Jazz is how are you feeling in that moment is what's going to come out. And I really needed that for myself. And podcasting, man, like it creates community. So again, it's another thing that we need, and a voice to put, things that you want to put out into the world, like a beacon for people to kind of come to you. So yeah, I'm trying to piece it all together, trying to make it part of this artistic practice.
Yeah. You speak often, about resilience and taking it day by day, right? And you say, how do you maintain the sense of discipline, especially when life throws you unexpected challenges, these curveballs? You got a profession where you're working with your hands, and now one of your hands is not working.
Yeah. That's a good question. Lately, what I've been trying to do is make sure that I'm not trying to get it all done at once. The constant recognition that whatever you're trying to achieve, there's a process to it. There's small steps that you got to take every single day. And that trying to find rewards out of those small steps. I used to be a person that I'd sit in the practice room for 8 hours and try to get something done. That's not how your brain works. That's not how your body works. It's not how you actually take in information. Over the years, I've figured out little bits of okay, if I do this for 10 minutes a day, that's okay. And honestly, that's a way better way to take in information. And I can go enjoy other things that give me life, my partner, my dog, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So the last 2 months specifically, while I've been kind of rehabbing my hand and getting back to it, I've tried to have just a nightly practice that's very zen and chill, no pressure. I'm as long as I get to the keyboard and do something, I've won today.
Yeah.
So that's been my thing lately, of just these little steps and actually executing that. Everyone says that, you got to break everything down into smaller steps, but do it. Does everyone actually do it? Lately, I've been doing it and I've been seeing results.
I get you. As someone who's an educator, how do you educate others? Like, what lessons do you hope that your students take away from the time that they spend with you?
I think music has a lot of benefits outside of sounding good, because what do you need to be a confident musician? You need discipline, you need creativity, you need humility. And these are all things that I try to make sure I instill in my students. You learn how to attack a problem, because you can't just take in all that information all at once. You have to break it down into little steps. Mm-hmm. These are all things that you need to function as a human being, right? Yeah. Most of my students are not going to be professional musicians. I've had a couple that have gone on to, big music schools, and I'm super excited for them and, going through that journey. Most of them are going to be with me until maybe their senior year of high school, and then I'm probably never going to work with them again on that level. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to create or help create well-rounded human beings who are good to themselves, good to other people. And that comes through the discipline and the love of music and on the piano.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So let's talk about personal growth real quick. If you could give one piece of advice to someone who just started their artistic journey, whether it's music, education, any other creative pursuits, what would it be? Practice slowly. We all try to do things so fast. The world is so fast. Everything's happening so fast. You learn things better if you do them slowly. Period. Just do it slow. Yeah, take your time. And I mean slow. You dig? Not like just I'll only do this one pace. No. I want you to work on that one measure. Very slowly. Just break it apart into little pieces. You will have learned that measure so much better than you could if you just... I'm guilty of trying to go fast too. Everyone is. We all want the instant gratification. Yeah. But if you do it slow, you're going to learn it so much better. And it's going to sit in you. It's going to be internalized. It's going to be something that's for you. Whatever it is, like art, the visual art, music, podcasting,
like learn your technology, learn your microphones, understand what's going on, understand the marketing piece, and how that goes into it. The reason we got together is because we're on a guest matching thing, right? And that's a slow process. I'm not trying to get it all done and all at once. Do 20 interviews in a week? Nah, one or two interviews a week. Cool. Slowly.
No, I got you. And so in terms of collaboration and how we, linked up through that website, you worked on some amazing projects like Nostalgia, In Between Dreams. What do you think makes a collaboration successful? And also, what qualities do you look for in people that you work with?
As far as what makes collaboration successful, I think trust. If you don't trust the person you're laying something down with, it's not going to sound great. It's going to sound like a fight. If you want that, if that's what you're going for, that's your intention, sure. But with improvisatory music or any music that's in the moment, you're all communicating without speaking. There's no you might have worked something out a little bit beforehand or whatever, but if someone goes into a kind of a different area than where you were, you don't stop everything. No, you follow them there. You make sure you support them. You build them up, and they'll do the same for you. So definitely trust. What
quality? Yeah. And what qualities do you look for in somebody?
Open-mindedness. For me, I think I can't work with people who can only see a problem one way, because they're not going to hear me. We're not going to be able to have a conversation. It's going to be very one-sided. Some people are more open-minded in some ways and closed-minded in others, right? So everyone has a little bit of give and take, but I really need someone who is open-minded and down to earth. I can't do it with these cocky motherfuckers. Sorry, can I swear on this show?
I got you. So, all right, Miguel, here's a fun one for you. Okay.
Yeah.
If you had to create your Mount Rushmore of the top 4 musicians, artists, whoever influenced you the most, who would they be?
Let's go D'Angelo.
Ooh, good pick.
Yeah, I love D'Angelo. Let's go Ahmad Jamal. He's a jazz pianist.
Yeah.
We did really some tricky, interesting things. Let's go Chick Corea. Another the first 3 Kanye albums. I don't mess with Red Hat Kanye at the moment. Yeah. Unfortunately, I hope he gets help and stops saying horrible things. But I do love those first 3 Kanye albums.
Yeah. So no Coltrane, no Sade.
I love Coltrane. I love I love those artists. But as far as influences on me and what I try to sound like, not so much. It's stuff that I have in my bag and I learn. Everyone wants to sound like Coltrane, so why would I want to? I don't want to sound like everybody. Yeah, I really like Bill Lawrence. He's a pianist that plays a lot with the Snarky Puppy, which is a very popular group. But I like his solo trio stuff, which is really cool. One of my mentors, Rand Blake. He was one of my teachers at NEC. He mixes a lot of jazz and film noir together. And the way he thinks about ear training and just conceptualizing music was a huge influence.
Wow.
So I think I'll hold it off there for now. I'm missing somebody. One of my mentors, Dan Lutz and Deb Huber. They taught me a lot about how to organize things and leadership and things like that.
Okay. Well, before we wrap things up, is there anything you would like to promote, talk about? The floor is yours. Have at it.
For sure. If you like anything you heard here, make sure you check out Play Black. It's on anywhere you listen to podcasts, as well as YouTube. It's me and my good friend and wonderful collaborator, Jay. We're artists of color, and we talk about nerds, nerdy crap, anime, MCU, comic books, TV shows, everything. We just love to get into it and the deeper meaning of those things and how it affects our lives, because it's a beautiful thing. Getting to talk about this stuff on a deeper level, again, man to man, and talking about those emotional bits is important. It's important for people to see that. And then on that same feed, I have the BIPOC Artist Hour, which is a show where I interview artists of color about their unique journey through the arts, but also what brings them joy, because we're always talking about the struggle, but we never talk about the joy. So got to make sure to put that out there. And check out my website, MiguelLandestoy.com. You'll see like some recordings I've done, as well as the links to all the podcast stuff as well.
And you have some beautiful and amazing work. I visited his website, guys. It is amazing. I like his website. I like his design.
I appreciate
like his
work. Bro. Thank you.
No problem. Well, Miguel, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you here today on this show. Your insights and intersections of art, culture, and personal growth has been very wonderfully inspiring. And I know our listeners take away a lot from this conversation. Thank you for your time, and be sure to keep an eye out for this young man here. So, all right, take care, fam.
Appreciate you, bro.
Peace.